Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. For today's video, we are going to be making this lovely long sleeve wrap top with some strings in the front that tie around your waist and can give you a little bit of a cinched waist effect. Now, what you need to know about your PDF pattern is that it comes in four formats. Now, A4, A3, letter, and A0. Now, when you have your pattern, you'll notice a little section that says the layout of this PDF pattern. This is how your pattern should be put together when you are sticking all your pages together. Now, we do also have layers printing that is available on Adobe Acrobat. You can just select whichever layer that you want, basically whichever size that you want, or you can just print everything out. I recommend printing out your actual size. Now what you are going to do is you're going to print at 100% scale or actual size, and then you are going to snip off the right and the bottom of your pages, and when you are done snipping off those parts, you are then going to overlap it with the next page, making sure that those lines connect and also those circles make full circles. This is the layout of this actual pattern. And also you're going to need four-way stretch fabric that is greater than 50% but less than 70%. You need 1.5 meters of fabric, which is 1.6 yards. And remember, the seam allowance is already included in this pattern. And again, print at 100% scale, please. So yeah, let's get into the tutorial. So we have already cut our pattern pieces. Remember that you're going to be cutting along the selvage, meaning that the stretch of your fabric will be running horizontally. So here are my pattern pieces. Right over there I have my front pieces. So for your front pieces, you are going to have a total of 4 pieces. You're going to take the first 2 and put them right sides together and then work on them, and then the other 2. So for my back pieces, I'm going to have a total of 2 pieces. Then I am going to have my other back piece over there. I'm going to have my sleeve. So for your sleeve pieces, you are going to only have 2 sleeves for this pattern. So only the front and the back pieces are double lined. The sleeve is going to be just 1 piece. So here are the other 2 pieces for my front. And obviously my strings. Your strings are all up to you. How long you want them. I first cut them 1.5 meters and that was too long, and I brought them down to just 1 meter. So I'm going to start with the easiest part. I am doing this on my serger. You do not need to do this on your serger. You can do this on your sewing machine. I'm using a zigzag stitch. So basically I'm taking my sleeve and I'm folding it right sides together, and then I am taking it to my serger and just sewing a simple strap. As soon as I'm done with my strap, I'm taking my loop turner and I am going to be turning the strap inside out. After turning the strap inside out, I'm going to set it aside and I'm going to take my back pieces. I'm going to put them right sides together, meaning that the right sides are going to be touching each other. And then I'm just going to pin the neck line. when I'm done pinning my neckline, I'm just going to be sewing from the edge of my shoulder to the other edge of the other shoulder. Basically, I'm just sewing my neckline. So for this part, because the seam is going horizontally, I'm going to be using a zigzag stitch so that it can accommodate the stretch. So remember, when you are sewing with your sewing machine on stretch fabric, any stitch that runs horizontally will be done with your zigzag stitch, and any stitch that goes vertically, like the side seams, you don't need to do a zigzag stitch. You will just do your normal straight stitch. That is because it doesn't stretch vertically, it only stretches horizontally. So right over there, as you can see, here's my zigzag stitch, and as you see me tugging on my fabric, it is not breaking. If you used a straight stitch, it would break at this point. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, with the top still inside out, I'm just going to sew that bottom seam right there. And remember, again, I'm using my zigzag stitch because it's running horizontally and I want to maintain that stretch. I want to make sure that I'm able to stretch my fabric when I fit it on me. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to go to my serger. I'm just going to snip this off, the excess seam allowance. I'm just going to snip it off. And I'm going to do the same thing for my neckline. Just snip the excess off. Oh, please ignore the birds in the background if you can hear those. I'm so sorry. So now I have this piece and it's actually done. I'm just going to turn it inside out, see that everything is fine, and then I'm just going to set it aside and start working on my front pieces. So remember, what I do for my one front piece is what I'm going to do for the other front piece. So I'm going to take my two front pieces and I'm going to put them right sides together. And when I put them right sides together, I am going to sandwich the strap, the string, the strap. I'm going to sandwich it in between those two pieces, right? So right over there, I'm placing my strap, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to stitch that strap in place, but I'm also going to stitch that center front seam. Let's call it the center front seam. So yeah, just pin the strap. So we are going to be stitching the center front and also the bottom seam. Be careful not to accidentally catch your strap or stitch your strap when you're doing that part. You only want your strap to be attached to the center front, but you do not want to catch it again when you stitch the bottom seam. Oh, I hope that was easy to understand. So now I have stitched my center front seam. So now I'm going to go in with my scissor and just cut off that excess seam allowance. Now remember, because this piece is running vertically, I did use a straight stitch. I mean, you could also use a zigzag stitch. It's not gonna make a huge difference, but because it's not going to be stretching, basically I use a straight stitch. So now what I'm doing is I'm doing my bottom seam, and as you can see, I've moved my strap out of the way because I do not want to accidentally catch it when I'm sewing. So right over there, you want to put those seams to line up perfectly. I'm just going to stitch that bottom seam, and again for this part I am using a zigzag stitch because it is running horizontally. Okay, so when I'm done with stitching that, I'm going to repeat the exact same process for my other front piece. So right over there, when I turn that piece inside out, my strap is perfectly situated in there, and I'm just going to turn the top in the piece inside out, and that's what it's going to look like. We are then going to attach it to our back piece. So now remember, our back piece is turned inside out, right? So we're going to take our front piece and turn it right sides out, and then we are just going to pin it at the shoulders, right? So make sure that the right sides of your fabric are on the outside for the front piece, and the right sides of your fabric are on the inside for the back piece, and we're just going to pin it at the shoulders. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to stitch that shoulder. Remember, we're going to be stitching the shoulder using a straight stitch because it's not going to be stretching. But if you want to be safe, just stitch everything with a zigzag stitch. So yeah, but the shoulder I'm doing it with a straight stitch. So there we go. So now I have my straight stitch. So I did double stitch that shoulder just to make sure that it is 100% in place. So now I'm going to take it out. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to line up my side seams. Now your back piece will be slightly shorter than your front piece. So what you need to do is you want to stretch your back piece to you want to ease your front piece into your back piece. So you are going to slightly stretch it. As long as the notches match, everything will be fine. Make sure that your notches are 100% matching. So yeah, so you're just gonna have to ease your front piece into your back piece. The reason why it's like this is I did do a full bust adjustment to accommodate anyone that is a C cup. So now I'm going to be stitching this using a straight stitch because remember, it's running vertically. This will not be stretching at all. So I'm just using a straight stitch, but like I said, if you want to be safe, just do everything with a zigzag stitch. So what I've done for this side, I'm going to do for the other side. So when I'm done with both of my pieces, right, so everything I did in the previous step, I did it for both sides. Here it is, everything is inside out. So what I want to do is I want to reach into the armhole. I'm going to use that to turn my piece inside out, and you should have this top. At this point, if you don't want sleeves, you would just finish it off like this, but this top is made with sleeves because it is partially, you know, for winter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my top, turn it inside out, make sure that everything is fine. I'm happy with this. I'm going to take it and I'm going to set it aside and start working on my sleeves. So now the sleeves, right? You're going to have one notch that indicates the front, and you have another notch that indicates the front, and then the double notches indicate the back, right? So the double notches are for the back and the one notch is for the front. So what you want to do is you're going to fold your pieces like that, right sides together, making sure that when you turn them inside out, they will correspond with the armholes on your top, right? So that's why they were folded opposite. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to stitch my seam for the top. For this part, obviously you can use a straight stitch because we will not be stitching the fabric. What I am going to do, because I want it to look neat on the inside, is I'm going to go ahead and stitch it also with my serger. You do not have to do this. You could just stitch it like this, cut off the excess threads, and then trim off the extra seam allowance and call it a day. So I'm going to my serger and I'm going to quickly serge that side seam, but you do not need to do this if you do not have a serger. At this point, I was wearing the top because I thought it was so fun as a short sleeve. I'm sure you guys can see that in the background. I was just too excited and I was just wearing it while making it. Okay, now I've taken off the top, and now what we're going to do is you are going to take your sleeve and you are going to fit it into your top. Remember, you want to turn your sleeve inside out and make sure that the right side of your sleeve is matching up with the right side of your fabric. Then you are going to pin it. Remember, the double notches need to be in sync, or they need to line up with your back, and then the one notch needs to line up with your front. So you will see on your pattern that the back piece has 2 notches and the front piece has only 1 notch. Make sure that you are lining up your sleeves according to that. If you don't do that, your sleeve is going to fit wrong because the back is slightly longer than the front. So I'm taking the right sides together like that, and then I'm going to just quickly hold it like that, and then I'm pulling it on the other side. Then I'm just going to take my pins and pin everything in place. With practice, this will just get easier, but you want to make sure that you are obviously lining up those notches. That is the most important thing. And then when you are done, you are going to go to your sewing machine and you are going to sew that piece. And for this part, you will be using a straight stitch. You don't need to use a zigzag stitch, just use a straight stitch. Also, you can then take it to your serger if you have a serger. If you don't have a serger, you don't have to. You're going to do this right, and then do the exact same thing for the other piece, and then trim off your excess. I am so sorry, guys. I did not include the part where I trim off the excess, but I know this is going to be super easy, so let's just go ahead to the sewing machine and just sew our sleeve. I've taken out that part of my sewing machine because I want my sleeve to fit nicely like that. So now I'm going to go ahead and just sew my sleeve in place. Now I actually found that sewing your sleeve in the round is like way easier than sewing everything when it's flat. I have enjoyed doing it like this. I did try in my first attempt. Well, when I was first, the first time I made a sleeve, I did make it like lay flat and then try to attach the sleeve. I do not like that. I love it more when it is like this, and I would suggest that you also do it like this. Everything is just so much more easier and it goes so much faster. Now, this next part is going to be a little bit tricky because I didn't realize that my camera was not catching the details 100%. So I do want to apologize in advance. So now I'm just going to finish my wrist. And so how I'm going to finish my wrist is I'm going to fold my wrist inwards by 0.5 inches. So I'm folding it inwards 0.5. So what I've done is I've turned it inside out and then fold it once, and then I'm going to take it to my serger, and I'm using a twin needle for this, but you can use a zigzag stitch to just stitch everything in place. So again, guys, I apologize for the lack of detail here. I really thought I was capturing everything 100%. But basically what I've done is I've just folded in, I've turned the top right side out, the sleeve right side out, and then I turn it in, fold it in half an inch and press it down or pin it, and then stitch it using a zigzag stitch or a twin needle to stitch it down. And you are going to do this for the other sleeve too. And just like that, we are done with this sewing pattern. Hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.